Where'd you go?
San Francisco, 49ers game.
Oh, that's only 2 miles away from my nephew
Oh.
in
Well,
Santa Clara.
My boyfriend's working out there in San Jose. And
Okay, we'll call the Butler Community College Board of Trustees regular board meeting for October 24 to order. 2024, how about? And if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of agenda is the next item. You'll see that.
I would move items X, E, D, and E, clinical affiliation agreements from consent agenda to board action items. I said a question in there.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we move X, D, and E to board action items. That would be B, 9B, and C.
All of E or just certain? No, it's E, D, and E. It's kind of confusing in that letter at this time.
Oh,
So 9, B, and C, I suppose.
Yeah.
so the clinical
E.
affiliation
Yeah,
agreement
it's-
for Morris County and the one for Shawnee Mission.
Even when I was highlighting it, like that's gonna be.
So, oh, okay, board item B and C. Okay,
Any other changes?
I would like to add on our strategic discussion, an additional thing to talk about 20th day numbers. You got what? 20th day numbers?
Can we just add it to my president's report?
Yeah, that's what-
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Anyone else? If none, I would accept the motion.
We have to vote on this motion.
You motioned, I seconded.
Oh, we didn't. I thought we did that. Sorry.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Huesling,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brungart? Yes. Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly?
Yes.
Trustee Huesling?
Yes.
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 Okay, next we have recognitions.
Okay, thanks. First recognition is Christina Byram, our vice president of digital transformation, just completed her CIO executive education and certificate program through Carnegie Mellon University just last month. Sort of like a few weeks ago. This is a competitive program that requires extensive application materials and a selection process. How many students do you have in your class? 26 from across the nation. So want to congratulate Christina. This is a very recognized certification within the IS industry, and we're proud of her and excited that she's got some extra time on your hands now, right?
Right.
I also want to recognize Dr. Sperry and Dr. Rinkenbaugh. Dr. Rinkenbaugh's out of state, and Dr. Sperry's not at the meeting tonight, but both of these folks stepped in January to serve as co-interim vice presidents of academics until Dr. Robinson came on board. And they did that with a lot of commitment and dedication and really outstanding leadership for that time frame. Originally, we thought it would be about 6 months, and it ended up being, about 9 months. But they did a great job and did it on top of their regular dean's responsibilities. They have good support personnel that they work with, and so those folks stepped in to help them. But proud of the work that they did and thankful, and they did I think a great job of helping get Dr. Robinson onboarded and up to speed and helping him know what all they'd been working on for the last period of time. So I wanted to just recognize them and thank them as well. So I'll let little platform. And then, last but not least, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you've had a good day and it sounds like you'll have
Yeah.
a nice evening when we get
Yeah.
done here, right?
It's gonna go up from here.
Oh.
I've had to work all day, so whatever. It's just a Tuesday so far.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Next, public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
We didn't have anybody
Okay,
submit anything online, so.
move on to standing reports, Student Government Association report, Kylie.
I don't see her online. She's not here.
We don't have a screen here. We can try that.
So we must not have
Okay.
student government.
Okay, operations staff report. Zach.
Good evening. So we have a meeting on Thursday. We are encouraging as many ops staff people to attend. We are going to do some voting on some bylaw changes about how we're going to start rotating our election of officers. And also at IDD on Tuesday, we'll be starting to sell Midwest mixes again this year. We'll actually have mixes on hand, ready to buy in person instead of putting in your orders and then submitting them. So we're going to have them on hand. If we run out of a certain thing, we can still order that and get that to you before the holidays. But this way you guys will have them for Thanksgiving and Christmas if you decide to buy. So that's all I have for today.
Okay, thank you.
We got some last year. They were good.
Professional employees report. Camille, please. Okay.
Okay, so I don't have anything in particular to report. Things have just been running smoothly since the last time I was here. I do have a bit of news to share, which is at the end of this month, we are hosting our third annual Oktoberfest, and this event is sponsored by the BCCEA and also KNEA, and it is just aimed at celebrating the halfway point of the semester and showing appreciation to all of the faculty, advisors, and counselors for the hard work that they do. It's always a really fun event with more free food than we can eat, lots of prizes given away that are Butler themed, and some really nice gift baskets that we have a drawing for. This year, we were really excited to extend an invitation to board members to come. And then this morning, I found out that you guys aren't allowed to be in a room together without alerting the public. So I suppose you'll have to fight it out amongst yourselves as to like which three of you most want to come party with us at Oktoberfest. Or if more than three of you really want to go, we can alert the public that that's going to happen. So, and that's all I had to say today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Board Finance Committee didn't meet, but do you have anything,
No, I,
Jim or Dave?
sent you under separate cover, the statement of revenues and expenditures. And I don't think Kent and Carrie didn't feel like there was anything, that was unusual, this month. So.
Okay, Foundation Board report.
Foundation Board meets next month, so it'll actually be after our November meeting, so I'll have a report in December.
Okay, Educational Facilities Authority report.
And we were supposed to meet tomorrow, but we didn't have anything on the agenda, so we're meeting next month.
And President's report.
Thanks. Couple of things. We have tomorrow afternoon, command from McConnell Air Force Base coming to campus. We have Colonel Corey Damon, who's the wing commander, we have the Command Chief Master Sergeant Markeisha Crawford, Colonel Johari Hemphill, who's the Mission Support Group Commander, and then Dean Garrison Jr., who is the Mission Support Group Chief Master Sergeant. This is the first time that we remember, I know since I've been here, but even we think before that, that McConnell Command has come to campus. We've gone to McConnell lots of times to meet them there, but we're excited to have them on campus tomorrow for a tour and just an opportunity to visit for a little bit. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary with them next spring in April, right? I think it's April. Yeah. And doing a little bit of research now, but believe that our 50-year partnership with McConnell may be the longest standing partnership with a single educational institution across any of their installations. So I'm really proud of that partnership, but it'll be neat to have them on campus tomorrow. I asked Jessica to collect a little bit of information for me on, she, I guess, mentioned this morning in exec council that this week was our first financial aid disbursement for our students. And so Heather Ward sent a little bit more information about some of the disbursement of scholarships and financial aid. So to date, right now for fall, 214 students have received $330,114 through Kansas Promise Scholarship dollars. The foundation has distributed 409 scholarships amounting to $378,638. From the federal level, Pell Grants, SEOG, federal direct loans, we've touched 3,443 students with just over $9.4 million for just this fall semester to date. There'll be additional financial aid disbursements as we go along. There are some other numbers on here that actually total by the time we look at some of the academic scholarships and access scholarship and some things like that. To date, right now, we've distributed just under $10.4 million to our students for the fall semester. Since 2015, the foundation alone has distributed 7.9 million in scholarships to about 8,000 students. And just last year alone, they distributed just over $807,000. And so typically when we fill out, our financial aid folks compile an annual report from all of the institutions across the community colleges anyway. The technical colleges aren't on there, but community colleges across the system. Butler and Johnson County are the two institutions that have the largest amount of federal dollars that come to our students and come to our campuses. Vocal music concert is this week, 10th, 11th, and 12th. If you want tickets, let me know. I'll call tomorrow and try and reserve them for you if they still have them available.
I got a deal, and so
You got a deal?
I got
Oh.
something and
Okay.
I pushed on it and
Yeah.
it worked and
Yeah.
I'm signed up.
Oh, that's
So,
good. Okay. So if anybody else wants tickets, let me know. And then I already had enrollment on my list here. So the 20th day report fits right in there. So if you want to ask questions or talk about that for a second, and then I'll finish up with some of my comments about enrollment.
I just appreciate, it's been 4 years asking for numbers sooner rather than later, and it's taken almost a year. Sorry, Jen, I'm not getting on you at all, but I would never see these numbers until like September of the following year. Now that we've had a bump, we see them immediately. So I mean, I just don't appreciate not being able to see what they are up or down either way for 11 months when they're readily available to us as a board. And I was just looking overall, and I got on the KBOR site because they have updated the numbers we turned in. It looks like, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, I'm just letting us know as a board what I feel, the numbers I ran across. The 15 of the 19 community colleges were up in head count, and 13 of the 19 were up in full-time equivalency. And the average for full-time equivalency overall was 4.6 and Butler 6.6, so above that. And then on head count, the average was 5.9 and we're at 4.3, so we're at the higher of some of these. And I was looking also on Jenna's numbers, wrote on the back, but and it's nice just to know this in general, but in Andover, our credit hours were actually down 2.3%, but negative 322 credit hours. But in El Dorado, we were up 4% at 549 hours. And our majority of our hours up were at 2,973 online. So we're up like 11% online. Then do we do 15 credit hours for full-time equivalent or 12?
Well,
Yeah, I did both those numbers. So it's 248 full-time equivalent increase online, which is 11%. And then 46 in El Dorado, and we dipped 27. Those are just the numbers I ran across. I thought maybe keeping our prices stagnant would increase our enrollment in Hanover, whereas we actually increased in El Dorado, which I wouldn't think as many people from Wichita would drive all the way to El Dorado, so.
well, I think Jessica has, some additional breakdowns. We were up in high school students, we were up in online, we were up in transfer and new students. If you can segregate out those enrollment numbers in a lot of different ways besides, campus location and stuff too.
Right.
So,
That's all on the
Right.
website too. It's real easy tabs to click on if you guys look at it.
Yeah.
Our website.
And our enrollment has gone up, and we feel like it's strong because of the efforts that we put in place and the efforts that you've supported for us as well. I don't think our growth would have been as high had we not made the changes that we made.
yeah, that's part of what I was going to share with you, and I think it, I emailed to you. There's a lot of effort that's been put into trying to create enrollment changes over the past couple of years. And it's in part, your support for Ad Astra, for continued support for Aviso, for Motomatic, for the work that we're doing with for additional marketing dollars. And there's been some real intentional changes internally in the way that we develop relationships with students and the way we communicate with them. And things are coming together, we feel like, because you can look at specific programs where some of those changes have been really intentional with our enrollment coaches, and the growth in those programs is really, really significant. So we know we're on the right path and doing some of the right things, and we're going to continue to build that out to the point where it's college-wide for all of our programs. So a lot of the enrollment increase that you see across the institutions statewide is increase in high school enrollment. Some of the institutions haven't in the past really focused on concurrent and dual enrollment the way that we have for a long time. So a lot of the enrollment can be attributed to high school enrollment growth for some of them, and addition of technical programs and, some things like that. So, yeah.
Did you want me to give specifics in the areas?
No, I don't think so. Okay, we're okay. Okay, thank you.
One other thing I had written down was our in-county full-time equivalent is 23.2%. And it's pretty much been that 23% for the last 5 years. It didn't really, even us lowering it $1 didn't shoot it up very much, if it did affect it.
Yeah.
I will say though, full-time equivalency is based on 15 credit hours, not 12.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I was
I didn't know
thinking
which
federal.
federal
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you have any more?
Nope, I think that's all I have.
Okay. Monitoring reports, Butler Foundation.
In your packet, you should see the report from the Advancement Division, and I'll entertain any questions you might have regarding the information that we submitted.
Anybody besides me? On page 5, it says total amount of scholarships awarded 740,000. Is that total?
That's total from the foundation specifically.
Is that different than the endowments?
So that includes endowment and monies raised that year for scholarships that were given out.
Okay.
We also do, and we haven't really published this, we've been talking about this, and TC, I think, had some preliminary conversations with Avery about this, about how to incorporate the athletic scholarship distribution, which is part of our story of private support for students, and you don't see that reflected in here.
Okay. I'm not trying to badmouth or anything, just talking to the board again, but we're paying, and Kent did give me the numbers I asked for the last 2 months on foundation payroll we contribute. It's going to be 338,000-ish this year, but we're contributing $338,000 to give out $740,000 in scholarship. That seems like a big commitment for us. And it did say you guys raised $5.5 million last year.
Right, the total amount of program support is 4.7 million, which is all of the private dollars coming in through the foundation for students, programs and so forth. So that's our overall impact that we have.
A lot of those are designated dollars that go into scholarships that can't just be used for operations.
Yeah.
So
I will tell you guys, I went to the scholarship dinner and sat at a table, and a young lady asked me a very interesting question as to why I give money to the foundation. And I said, I only give to a couple of entities. And one of them is the foundation because I believe in the students here at Butler County. And I know that my dollars go to the students of Butler County. And she was very appreciative of that fact, that she told me that she was a student who graduated in 2016 and decided to come back to school. And she wouldn't have been able to come back to school if it wasn't for the help of the foundation. And so, there is a lot of philanthropy that comes in to the foundation, not from just Butler County, but other counties also. So.
And just one other item I'd like to point out to the board in light of Shelby's comment is that if you recall, the foundation has like a lot of dual roles in our work. We have our foundation work, which is raising dollars. We also manage a lot of college programs that were either brought over from the college to the foundation or started off with the foundation assuming those responsibilities for the college. So we've had this kind of a hybrid existence, and we still to date. So if you look at that first page, I've got kind of the split of the individuals who are on the staff and the college duties that they have, and then the foundation duties. So we kind of have a hybrid model, which is we talked about this in the past.
And I think it's been a while ago, but if I remember correctly, I don't know that are there any foundations in the community college system that are
Separate.
solely funded on their own? I think the college supports almost.
Yeah, maybe one, I can't remember the data, but it was, absolute majority was a hybrid. Yeah.
And it's a standard model across the nation. Yeah. That there's a dual support between the foundation and the college that they represent.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next we have a monitoring report from the athletics department.
That's you.
Can't do it alone.
Good evening, Todd Carter, Athletic Director, here along with my Associate Athletic Director, Michaela Sirios, and our Sport Information Director, Trey Burnett. We're responsible for the athletics that you got to see and read and do all that stuff. And we've got a bit, Matt, you ready for the video? Okay. Quick video of a Derby native, Butler Community College football player who's now the head coach at the University of Michigan. He's got a shout out on national TV. Kelly said, thanks for the free advertising.
Yeah.
It's what month ago? That was big release. National TV.
With head coach Sharon Moore to get his idea of how he's going to put his own spin on the 2024 Wolverines. Guys, check it out.
And here come the defending champion Wolverines.
So what does it mean to you to take over this historic program?
It means everything. I'm going to work extremely hard to do everything I can to make sure that we're successful and put the right people in the right chairs, put the right players in the building to make sure that we're successful and continue the traditions that this place deserves.
If you don't want to be held to a high standard, this is not the place for you. If you don't want to win championships, this is not the place for you.
Explain where you played collegiate football.
Yeah, I played at the University of Oklahoma. Before that, I played at Butler County Community College, where Zach Taylor was my quarterback, who's now the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals.
What did you do that put you on the trajectory that you started off at Butler, but now you're a head coach at the University of Michigan?
Man, the last thing I thought of was being the head coach of Michigan when I was at Butler County. I would stay nights there, watching film with them afterwards, and I think that's when I fell in love with the teaching of it too. And then ended up at Oklahoma. Got to play with elite players in Adrian Peterson, DeMarco Murray, Trent Williams. I promise you, we will smash. Thank you very much.
Nice little clip that Sharon had to say about us. So you had your packet for a couple of weeks, I do believe. Can we answer any questions for you guys?
I had to leave volleyball early last night. I know we won the first one, lost the second one.
Lost the third one, lost the fourth.
The bar.
Yeah, number 3,
Yeah,
country, 5 in country.
yeah.
Had,
Number one.
had a crack, had a
Yeah.
undefeated. Yeah. None? Okay. Thank you.
Well, just a second.
Just, I think she'll be.
Oh.
Well, nobody wants to hear from me. It's my birthday. I'll give you all a present.
I was just gonna say, I thought it was really important to include, I appreciated the inclusion of the academic summaries from 22, 23 and 23, 24 still being completed. But I think that gives you a really good picture of, you know, the academic impact and the expectation, you know, for our athletes that are coming on scholarship and playing. So anyway, I thought that was good information. So thanks for including that.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
board strategic discussions, issues and opportunities. First item there says presidential search update. During our meeting later today, we will discuss some additional options. Right now, we are getting ready to solidify the timeline to select a president. We will be looking for leadership from an additional search firm, which we'll talk about and be able to confirm later today if we move forward. But all in all, you know, we felt good about the number of people that applied. We stepped back due to just some things that didn't make us feel like we'd given everyone exactly a even chance. So with that, I mean, I think we're ready to go. We had a good process. We have a great search committee. And so the board took the recommendation of the search committee to not move forward and blessed that. And now we'll be looking at a process that begins the very beginning of January. And we hope to make our final announcement by May 31st. So.
What portion of the fee that Gold Hill was going to charge us that we end up having to pay to them?
We're in negotiations at this time.
Ray has contacted them by letter. But I don't know that he's heard back from them yet.
Okay, next strategic plan.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to take an opportunity here because Dr. Jenna Gannon, who is serving as our interim associate VP for IR, strategic plan and some of the performance agreements and all that sort of stuff that you see in the back of the book, she's, you know, integrally involved in, but I just wanted to make sure that you all knew who she was. She'll be at the meetings and she's stepped in into ESOM's shoes and will, you know, at certain points in time in the fall semester be, you know, talking with you and sharing information with you. So I wanted to make sure that I introduced her to you. So strategic plan, when we met in, I don't know, I guess maybe it was in August when we were talking about this, you suggested that we add a couple more goals or a couple more indicators, priorities to the goal of driving institutional sustainability and growth. And so I went back and listened to the discussion about that. And so I took the liberty to kind of just wordsmith that a little bit, and the highlighted areas on page 18 are the two things that you wanted us to go ahead and add to that goal. Develop other resources of revenue to the college to offset the tax burden of Butler County taxpayers, and then to begin to develop a multi-year revenue and expenditure plan focused on sustainability. We've talked about this a little bit at the VP level, and we need to have some guidance on actual, performance indicators. Where do you want to start and what you want to do with these, so that we can see some progress over the next year. And so as the VPs, as we talked about this at the VPs meeting, we thought we would, just bring a couple of suggestions forward to see if they resonated with you, or if you had some other ideas, because we want to finalize this and, and get things in print. So when you're talking about developing other sources of revenue, we felt like maybe one of the very first steps in an informative step would be to bring to you sort of a compilation of information that would show you what currently our outside funding resources are, the dollar amounts and where they're coming from. They're not going to be huge. I mean, it's not like millions and millions and millions of dollars, but, Perkins grant. And we've got, the outside funding from KBOR this year through the apprenticeship funds and the student success funds and some things like that. And we kind of thought that that might be a good initial step to help you understand, what else comes to us besides student tuition and fees and tax dollars, and then, state funding. Is that an okay first step for this one? Then to kind of continue on some discussion. I know you've had a little bit of discussion about, whether some sort of a sales tax, makes sense or something like that. But we didn't know if you really knew what some of those outside funding sources are currently.
So
Would that be helpful?
I'm going to say yes. Will you have this to us in November?
Sure. Yeah,
Not-
and
not-
actually, we
we're
could
not-
probably compile it and get it to you before the board
We're
meeting.
not going to develop other sources. We're just going to be informed of what our sources have been traditionally.
Well, no, you can develop, but I'm just saying that would be a first step to give you some information so you could understand from there maybe what the next step would be.
I would like us to work too, to focus on our spending as well. That's why I bring up, we spend $1.2 million on football for 1,600 credit hours. Give the foundation $330-some thousand. And it's money we're just going out. We're not bringing in more revenue to compensate. We need to keep that in mind.
Okay, so you'll bring that, we can see where the gaps are there. I
Uh-huh.
wonder if the focus on spending maybe comes more under number 4.
It does
Begin
look
to
like that.
develop a multi-year revenue and expenditure plan focused on sustainability, because if we want to make changes, instead of making abrupt changes, we might be better off to plan, changes up or down. Just because we're going to do a plan for sustainability doesn't mean we have to spend more money, but we do have to understand, if we don't spend the funds, what the impact's going to be overall. And that's why I hope that we would look at things long term. I mean, as I said, we come to a meeting, it's the time we need to set the tuitions. Well, sometimes we've talked about that in our work session, but I would like for us to have this overall plan that says, these are the decisions we make and that we can control in reference to revenue during the year. These are, and again, the categories for spending accordingly.
Continue to talk about it before next day.
Right,
So it's-
because we start now, and I think the second, so unless somebody disagrees, my thought is, yes, please bring us what's outside dollars now. I'd also like to challenge, faculty, staff, et cetera, and our leadership to give us thoughts on other funding sources. Is there someone that funds IT or something special that might fund some of the technology things that Matt and his group are doing. And that's been a cost center that came in and is bringing in money. Is there something we need to do to make that more successful? You know, we've made an investment, we're seeing it pay off. What else can we do to promote that? You know, my thought is we're going to have a lot of students that are interested in that program once they realize what they can really get by coming to Butler and being part of that process. So, but that's a small example, but there could be all kinds of other
Yeah,
things.
we can brainstorm some.
We mentioned before too, our nursing is maxed out. Is there any way of increasing the capacity?
It has to be approved. It would have to be approved through the Kansas Board of Nursing. You would end up, I mean, from a space perspective, we're at capacity space wise.
Talking with a gentleman who they do shipping container clinics that go all over the world and they're set up for specific uses. And they're based in Wichita, so that's an
Well-
option that could be provided, you know, on site if we had space available, it's specific. I mean, it's just an idea.
We're already talking about some of that potentially through some of the other CTE programs. But in nursing specifically, there has to be a very specific faculty to student ratio. So if you expand space and expand students, we're gonna have to have more faculty because the board of nursing and ASIN require a specific ratio of faculty to students. So there would be those increases that would be incurred, even if we could create some additional space somewhere.
Even if,
So,
I mean, if we had to charge an additional nursing fee or something, I mean, my mom's been in and out of the hospital for 3 weeks with a staph infection. Everywhere she goes, nursing shortage, traveling nurses. But we're all at capacities in the community colleges with our nursing programs, like where are they all going? You know, so, I mean, there's definitely a market and a demand for it.
Well, that would be one example of something that we should investigate. And there's probably a lot more of them.
We're
So
real interested in IT and
I am
Just-
technology
Just out of,
related items. I thought the idea of somebody that's, I mean, we're behind the ball. Somebody else is already launching their AI courses and things like that. We heard about that a few weeks ago. So,
we have a pathway for AI.
so
and just out of curiosity for all of us trustees, I kind of wondered about like a countywide quarter cent sales tax. You know, that we know that there are certain cities, and I don't know if Andover or Augusta, I know that El Dorado has a 1 cent sales tax that goes toward property tax relief. 60%, I think, goes to property tax relief. 30% goes for something else and 10% for other programs, to where that may, where it's a use tax that it may help us in the future on tax liabilities. I don't know. I just,
I think sales tax is generally a voter initiative, isn't it?
it is, yeah, it would have to be a voter initiative, but
We just raised property tax to 17%. I would want to, and sales tax.
well, but
I mean,
if
they
you
chose-
brought in more money, you know, through something,
Yeah,
you could adjust, you'd have,
It's a consumption tax, which I
right,
don't disapprove of.
right.
yeah, the
That's-
thing about sales tax is it's not all paid by Butler County
Some people
residents.
that,
You know, we have a good pull factor, for instance, in El Dorado, where about a third more people spend money in El Dorado than our citizens themselves would spend. Now, it's not that way countywide. If you're on the border, it's not as much. But also, it could help provide relief. I mean, the people that one home, and if you have a fixed income, I understand the stress of that when the property tax goes up, but on use tax, sales tax type of things, for instance, your landlords. I mean, that versus someone that doesn't own any property, I mean, it makes it fair. It's a use tax and doesn't overly burden someone. If they have the money to spend, then hopefully they have money to pay a 4% sales tax versus keeping, and it could help us to potentially reduce, but I think it's something that would require county support
Right.
from our county commissioners. And so, I mean, it's just something to look at, but,
And
and
You
there's
know,
other things.
it's in an initial stage to where if you're talking to somebody, you might get their ideas on it, it doesn't. It's not saying that we're gonna do something immediately, but it just to kind of feel it out, so to speak, to where what people might think about that and because I know the different cities, well, heck, Wichita used it to build Interest Bank Arena. They used a sales tax that lasted for a specific time to build the arena.
So we have paid for radios throughout the county. Emergency service radios was the first thing that I've seen since I've been here. I know the county hopes to fund their event center that way, a new event center, so. But it does take a vote of the people. And then I'm not sure of whether it is allowed then for those funds to be used for specific purpose. At something like the college, could it be something that we use to help with our deferred maintenance? Things like that. We'll just have to check it out if people are interested.
I know City of Augusta is getting ready to vote to renew our like 1%, but our sales tax in town is like 8.5% already. It's crazy high. So I don't think Augusta residents would love the idea of it going any further for any reason.
So does the city have 2%?
I'm honestly not sure. I know they're getting ready to vote to renew a 1% that they've had in place for a number of years. And so they're wanting to extend it. I've just seen arguing on Facebook as to what they're actually going to use it for and all that jazz. So
It's those kind of things we need to know, but as I said, it'd be nice to have a brainstorming session where you throw out all kinds of ideas. Start to choose the ones that you think make the most sense and then do the research on those.
yeah, because like, back to the point with nursing and, Matt's program, if we have obvious shining stars within the institution, that's to me the biggest opportunity, especially if there's demand, obviously it makes more sense to hire more staff if you're going to get more students out of it in something that's high demand and that's going to, snowball. And that's the whole point of drilling down. The thing that I struggle with is, we get told we're not supposed to get in the weeds and say what to do. But at the same time, we have to give ideas on how to fix things, but we don't really have all the information to do that. So that's where it's hard to contribute to a conversation like this, because it's like, well, this is my own budget. This is what I would do. I'd be looking at all my line items. I'd be like, well, I can take that down, that down, that down, and move this around. So I guess just on a high level, it would be like, let's look at what's really working, try to do more of that, get rid of what's not. Anyway, that's my thought.
So
Okay.
3 and then 4 years.
And then 4, we thought again, maybe just from a model perspective, from a template perspective, we could bring forward some examples of multi-year comprehensive revenue and expenditure plans from other institutions, just so you can see what the component pieces are, how they compare to what we do already, and what maybe would be things that you felt like needed to be added for better information, and to start there again. So you see some other examples to start off with, and then build from there. That would be something that we could provide to start with.
I think it'd be helpful to understand, if possible, what the expense to the college is for an online student as opposed to an in-person student, because if we had significant growth in the online section, this, most recently, seems to me like that would be the least overhead and the most profit. But again, I don't know, because I don't know the nuts and bolts of that, but that's kind of the way of the world, and maybe we should put more focus on that as well.
So that our online 2021, 22, 23. Pretty much flat. It dipped after 20s, but then we went up 10% this year. So it's held constant while everything else is going down. So it's
Interesting.
at least
I could never learn online, but power to those I believe can.
Yes.
I get it.
Okay, thoughts?
Those were the ones that we kind of talked about. We'll bring some stuff back to you.
Shelley, would you like to talk to us about policy updates, page 20?
Yes, thank you. In August, we brought you,
Wait a minute.
Just the core reports there. I don't know if
Oh.
anybody has.
Oh,
questions
did you
about it.
guys, yeah, the court
did.
report, I did a check on it. Do you, I was past that. Anything you, questions you have on that?
Just the. Like the number 2, and that's just public record, I believe, just have to request it in the report.
Which one are you looking at?
The second one,
Oh, the payroll information?
yeah.
Yeah, anything that we didn't decline, you know, that was accepted and paid for as public record that we can share with people. These are pretty typical requests that you get.
Were there thoughts, other thoughts on that? Go on. Okay, Shelley, would you talk to us about policy updates on page?
Yes, certainly. In August, we brought forward a policy on the probation, suspension, and termination for cause language updates. And were requested to look at adding in some additional language about whether this is on or off duty, or did it apply to both, or let's go back and Dr. Cole and I did separately listen to that audio again and just modified those areas that you had requested that us to take a look a little closer at. So those are highlighted with kind of the dark gray band. That is where we changed from the wording from what it was the first time it was presented.
Forrest, are you fine with second paragraph on page 21, moral turpitude? I think that was your one.
Starting, yeah.
Kind of vague. It's like,
I think it's pretty well understood what it means.
Yes.
In terms of a handbook policy, I'm not concerned with that. That's pretty common language.
that's the only question I have.
Anyone else? If not, do we have a motion to accept the updates?
I move that the,
It's not an action.
Oh, it's not an
oh,
action item.
I
thought-
guess it isn't, is it?
No,
No, it
it's
is. It is an action item.
Oh, it is. Yeah, we skipped. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I-
Sorry. That's on me. I would move to accept it as proposed, as presented.
I move that the Board of Trustees recommends to the administration the support of the proposed changes to the probation, suspension, and termination for cause and the progressive disciplinary procedures be accepted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next we moved the item for clinical affiliations agreement for Morris County to 9B, and that's on page 54. So is there discussion?
I was just curious, it said funding source was not applicable. But it does say faculty. We're going to provide nursing faculty. I'm just wondering what's the cost related to it? Are we going to generate revenues?
Well, this is, I mean, it's like any other clinical
just a MOU, but-
affiliation where they get experience to go out into the hospitals to work and stuff. Sometimes we'd have to ask Julio for
But
sure, but sometimes
Who's
the
getting
hospitals
experience?
provide.
Is it a Butler student in Marion County?
It's our nursing students that could potentially choose this clinical site to finish some of their clinical requirements for their nursing degree. Yeah.
Or when it says we're going to provide faculty,
Sometimes the hospitals in these agreements provide the clinical faculty member that's already a staff member at the hospital. Sometimes our clinical faculty members that we already have go to that site and observe and follow them. So
but there's no cost associated on our.
well, it's already a faculty member that we have hired.
I'm just making sure there's no.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't anticipate with any of these clinical ones that we're hiring new faculty to do it. It's part of our faculty members' clinical assignment, or the hospital may be providing a staff member that they've already hired to do it.
I would move to approve this clinical agreement with Norris County Hospital as presented. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. And pretty much the same questions with this one, but we're in Shawnee Mission now, which is right up near Kansas City. But it still says we're gonna provide faculty member or a liaison who's gonna plan and meet with their staff.
And it would be one of our faculty members that we already employ, one of our nursing faculty members.
To me, it seems like if we're at capacity and then we're sending a faculty member to Kansas City, and we're right on the border of Johnson, and we're in Johnson.
Well, they're always looking for additional clinical experiences for our students, you know, different ones. I mean, we have clinical experiences all over South Central Kansas. And this evidently it's a new opportunity. We haven't had one with Shawnee Mission before. Again, it's to try and prepare our students in the very best way we can and give them new and broader experiences. You know, the clinical instruction part of our nursing it's part of their faculty load. Now, are we going to have a bunch of students that go to Shawnee Mission? Maybe not. We may have a student that has come from that area that wants to go back and do their clinical experience there. And it kind of just depends on the agreement that we have with the medical center. It may be our faculty members coordinating their work with staff that are there. We can get more details from Janet if you want us to, but again, it's to provide a broader opportunity and more experience for our students.
I understand
In a new
that.
setting.
We're such a capacity here with such a need here in Sedgwick County and Butler County, it seems. Really spread the footprint out to send people to Kansas City for nursing.
Well, there's a lot of competition for clinical sites in this area. There's lots and lots of nursing programs that
I
are,
wouldn't call that our area. It's 40 miles. That's just my opinion. We've already down in McLeod, now in Council Grove. Kansas City seems, to me personally, a bit too far for what we need to focus on. So I'm gonna vote against it for that reason. Whatever the rest of the board does.
I would note the support is also in Ottawa. I mean, it's Ransom Hospital in Ottawa, so it's not all the Kansas City area.
Well, I know, but it's getting awfully close to Kansas City. That's what I made it from there out. How would we want to send a faculty for one student all the way up there? We have max capacity now in our area.
Would this require us to have a faculty member driving back and forth to Ottawa every day that the student's doing clinicals there?
we'll have to check with Janet for sure. I don't know. Do you know, Leo, what the
Table
faculty
this till
arrangement
next
is on this?
I don't know.
Okay, we could. If you want us to get more information, bring it back, we can do that. We can check with Janet.
But it says on page 62, we're gonna provide a faculty member, it's near the bottom, 410. We're gonna plan with the hospital. We're gonna meet with the hospital staff.
So you can do things via technology, and maybe it's a coordinated conversation that our staff people and our nursing faculty are having with their staff there. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. This means that our folks are traveling back and forth the entire time, but we can find that information out.
You guys wanna table it till next month, and you never know how
I-
fast this stuff has to pass.
I kind of look at it as a student teaching type deal, to where if there's a kid that's from Ottawa, they can live at home after they've taken all of their classes, they can do a clinical. I'm sure that our teachers, our faculty are communicating with somebody at that hospital to make sure that they get their clinical hours that they need to satisfy the needs so that they can pass their tests. But I don't see a faculty advisor going. I mean, I kind of look at it as student teaching, to where, I student taught in Wichita and I was out of Emporia State, and a faculty advisor just called down to my cooperating teachers, to tell them the type of experience they wanted me to have.
On page 58, towards the bottom, it identifies in a couple of different places that the hospital will provide facilities and clinical supervision for rotations of students who are in good standing with the academic institution and who are accepted for training by the hospital. So we'll double check with Janet. My guess is that the faculty on our end are going to coordinate supervision with their staff on their end if we have students that go to that site for a clinical rotation.
But if they're doing a clinical rotation, they're still a student. Like,
They,
they're still attending classes here at Buckland.
yeah, the clinical
nursing
rotations are
classes
part of
are-
their credit hours that they have to.
Are generally not all online.
I'm sorry.
Our nursing classes are generally physical classes, not online classes.
If they're taking the degree pathway for their BSN through KU, those classes are online and they have clinical experience that have to be completed for their bachelor's degree too. So this might apply even to some of that.
I guess I just like.
Clinical stuff is face to face. It's all face to face.
I just meant our nursing program is not primarily in person.
Sure.
It's not online.
Yeah.
So if we have a student taking our nursing program, they're gonna be here or cloud or I guess counselor. But what sense does it make to have a person in this area taking our classes physically in person here in Butler County? Doing clinical.
They do clinical rotations all over. I mean, that's an actual part of their degree program where they're in the hospitals, located in the hospitals and on the floor and working with the staff of the hospital. At the same time that they may be taking some
I
classes.
get it, but it would be like in construction, you're running another job in another city for virtually no revenue. They're just gonna have you consult. I mean, and just takes away from our focus here.
I mean, nursing is part of the nursing faculty's
I know, but then
full
they're gonna be,
load to oversee clinical.
right, but then it's one more location for them to talk with X, Y, Z number of people in regards to one student or maybe two there that just, it adds more on their plate for a very small bump in revenue, if any.
Think we're getting way far afield of the scope of our charter. I understand that if the idea is we're gonna have to put somebody physically in Ottawa to support one student that wants to do it, I understand where you're coming from. If we're challenging whether a person that's already doing coordination with hospitals all around South Central Kansas, and they're gonna add to do coordination from their office here to facilitate a better student learning experience with someone that wants to do it in Ottawa, I don't personally have any problem with that, and I think we're way in the weeds on this. But I'm not opposed to waiting to get more information.
We can get more information. They divide up the nursing class when they get to those points where they're doing clinicals. They divide up the nursing classes into smaller groups of students to do, for instance, their psych clinical rotation at a certain hospital and their OBGYN. And, so they go as groups of students. Again, I don't know if this is specifically focused for the ones that are part of the KU School of Nursing, degree pathway, but we can get more information for you.
I would just need
Janet.
to table this to next month. That's all
Okay.
right.
410.1 and 0.2 say provide the services of faculty member or other academic institution liaison who will plan with the hospital and meet with staff as necessary to discuss the quality of the educational experiences and any problems that have arisen. So it
Committee
sounds like that's what
hours.
their expectation is, that they coordinate and the rest of the things are for the student to comply with.
I just. you can't
Personally,
say
I don't
yes
see
to
any-
everything.
I'd hate to see us table it when most of it is just,
What's the motion?
well, there isn't.
I
any
just made a motion to
Depends.
table it. No one seconded it. So
Well, I don't think we need to table it if we haven't got a motion. Pass it. Just push it to next month.
because it's in.
We don't have to
it's
take
in-
action on it.
It's
right?
in action,
It's in action.
but you
We've
can
moved it.
decide. So
Well, I'm gonna do this, and then if you want to vote it down, that's fine. I move that the Board of Trustees approve the clinical agreement with Shawnee Mission Medical Center and the Advent Health to provide precipitated clinical practicum experience for students.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Just one question, not to beat a dead horse, but is this just an agreement that we have with multiple hospitals statewide where our students go in various locations, or is it just?
We have lots of clinic locations, but you have to have a separate one for each individual site and each hospital. Or
And they're
nursing
just
home,
renewed
whatever.
every few years or whatever. And
And
Right.
you'll notice that this one's got a lot more to it than the Morris County.
but we don't think that there's as specifically a person from Butler driving to Ottawa for one student. All of this would be remote kind of thing. Okay.
That's what it appears.
Doesn't
So
say
that they-
that.
It says
Right.
they'll meet
Or we're responsible to plan or.
with staff members of hospital as necessary to discuss the quality of the education experiences.
But it doesn't make sense to involve the manpower.
We have a motion
Have a
that we need to
motion.
vote on.
We can discuss, Dr. Hueslick, after a motion and a second. That's how it works. You
We've
discuss and then
discussed.
you vote. You
We've
don't need to
discussed
try to cut me
and
off,
we've gone deep into the weeds.
but I'm still discussing. When I'm done. we can
You've
take
had
a
your
vote.
say, I can have my say.
Yes, you can,
That's correct.
but you're incorrect just before.
Okay. Other discussion? No?
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Okay, consent agenda.
I would move to present, to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll
As
second,
amended.
and I'll second.
One second, roll call.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, do we have key performance indicators?
No, yeah, no
tonight?
changes on the information on page 84. A few of the KPIs for the current strategic priorities that you can read through. You'll see those just about every month. Emailed you this statement of revenues and expenditures under separate cover. Some thank you notes, one specifically that's really nice from Ronald McDonald House. Our culinary folks provided a meal, dinner for their families. And then the calendar of activities and stuff that is updated with kind of things almost all the way through, well, close to December anyway. So
Okay, so next would be executive session
that's scheduled.
ahead of schedule.
We'll just wait.
Just-
That
So
brings
do I
us,
have a motion for the executive session?
Are you there? You want me to do it since I'm?
Go right ahead, Doc.
Okay.
I just got a text that Preston Rescue, student vice president, is out on the hall.
Oh, okay.
If we want to hear it.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
let's let
please.
him come do his.
Yeah, let
SBA
him do
report.
that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Has he been sitting out there for quite a while?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
shoot.
about 45.
Oh my gosh. We didn't know you were out there. Don't ever be afraid to just
Yeah, just-
poke your head in.
Okay, I didn't want to like. Yeah, it's okay. She's out sick today, so. But that's all right. I was just trying to make sure I knew what I was doing. So, but anyway, good afternoon. I am Preston Sheets and I am the Vice President of SGA. Like I said previously, Kylie Metzer cannot be here today due to being ill. Over the last month, SGA has put on a couple events for students. We put on a paint war September 13th, where students were provided white t-shirts by Residence Life for that. And then we provided the supplies to have a tie-dye water balloon fight for that. SGA also sponsored a pink out night for one of our more recent volleyball games that we had at home. We provided funding for pink out shirts and we made enough for the first 100 students who came to the game got a free shirt for that. And then we've also been restocking our food pantry full of non-perishable food items and personal hygiene products for our students. And our officers have been working hard on planning events for the remainder of October. And those details and those events will be talked about and reported in our November board meeting. Is there any questions that I can answer for anybody today?
So your food pantry, uh, can we just make donations and you guys will buy what's needed, or you actually to provide us?
So we have a SGA budget for the pantry. I wouldn't say no to donations if that was available. But I know that we have been working to expand on what we have because we know that different students need different things. So we've just been making sure that we have the different foods and personal hygiene products and even school supplies that those students might need so that we can provide for them. Yeah.
What about like cereal or different things like that?
We do have some cereal in our food pantry at the moment. We just restocked, I believe, last Tuesday. And that was just on things we were running low on to make sure we had those for students.
What are
We
some
have
of
a
the
food pantry on both campuses, in Andover and also here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are like some of the food that?
That is one of them. I will tell you that. Ramen is one of them.
Ramen noodles.
They have soups and,
Ramen noodles?
canned goods, non-perishable items, basically, that can sit there on the shelf for a bit of time. Last year, when we had state money, we would allow students to order perishable items, then go to the store, and then they had to pick them up that day. But we don't have that option right now, so it's just a non-perishable thing. Cereal, I mean, and then like you said, personal hygiene.
So if we went to Sam's and happened to buy ramen noodles in the containers, a box of it, and box to donate to Andover and a box to donate to El Dorado, we could.
We would allow you to do that. The other thing, I mean, during the holiday luncheon, we didn't do it last year, but in the past, we had a holiday luncheon. Student government puts out a bin for non-perishable items for employees that are coming to the holiday luncheon to donate, and then we take those over and put them.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So-
Thank you all. Have a good one.
We're gonna go into executive session, so you'll wait just a minute. No, just over there. Take a seat real quick. I'll talk to you soon. Okay. So do I have a motion for executive session?
Okay, Madam Chair, I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exception for said matters, and that the board, Shelley Stoltz and Dr. Kim Kroll be included. The meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee room within 60 minutes. And that's my motion. Sorry.
That's my motion.
I would second it for non-elected person.
Okay.
I think you said non-intellected personnel.
Oh, non-elected.
Okay, motion
That's a new
second,
word.
roll call.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Huesling,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
Figure out, we have some snacks back there if you want, something much on while you're in exec session. Take a break.
So your office is going to be right there by Livingston's down in that.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine, we went over to eat at Applebee's. And so we kind of drove around in that area, just kind of scrolled around in that area. And that was the first time I saw Livingston's there. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is so much closer to going to my first.
Yeah, but I really like it. I like it. I live in St. a lot. Hope this one's that good.
Yeah.
Because it's two different numbers.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so they take up, Livingston takes up like the middle third of that building. I'm gonna be work with them. And then there's a space of about 2,500 square feet south of it.
Now, do you get indoor or kind of garage parking behind
So
your?
there's actually public parking on the ground floor that anybody can park there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's when you go up to that second level. That's the parking that is paid for by the country.
And that's via private entrance.
Yeah, there's a
Kind of a
ramp that
gate,
goes up.
yeah.
I can go.
Yeah, over there on the south side.
You get the restroom open.
No, I just haven't set up. You can talk, but
Okay, we began our executive session at 5:28 and 5:48, I'm sorry, PM. And we were out at 6:22 PM. Okay,
I would move to adjourn.
Nope.
we have a motion.
Oh, yeah.
We do have one action coming out of our executive session, so I think Dave will give us a motion.
I move that we accept the Poly Group for help with our executive search, contingent on Ray Canal's review and subject to different costs.
Okay,
Second.
okay, motion second, roll call.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Huesling,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. I would move to adjourn.
Okay,
And I will second.
a motion second to adjourn, roll call.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes, and happy birthday, Shelby.
Thank you.
trustee Huesling,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
and trustee Smith.
6:26, 4 minutes to spare. Peace out.
Peace out. Head out.
Were we supposed to be done at 6:30?
Well, I think you were gonna have to leave at 6.
Oh.
Right?
My party's at 7:30.
Oh, okay.